Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. This is actually historically one of my favorite days because I've historically, for years, for decades, that's kind of scary because it says how old I am. For decades, I have hosted a New Year's Eve party. I and then we, once I got married, have hosted a New Year's Eve party. And it's always so much fun to not just bring in the new year with my own. With me, but with lots of other people and lots of merrymaking. And lots of you I know have been to my New Year's Eve events. And this year, in the last few years, I've just noticed that as that hasn't been it's not been as much of a priority, the celebrating, the like I've noticed more of a desire to go in on New Year's and be reflective and take stock. And even, certainly 10 years ago, maybe even 5, I would have been like, yeah, but there's so much fun to be had. And I just see that as my own evolution. And again, not that going in and taking stock is better or worse, but more just um, like a different need, a different, like my allowing myself to be different versus how I've always been. And it's gotten me thinking because it's shown up a lot in my calls, how often we relate to other people like they've always been. And it's easy, it's handy, it's kind of a shortcut to relationship, right? Because we and it's how honestly we create trust. Like I can trust that this is how this person is and they're reliable for that, and that's part of what works in our relationship. And it's like, what do you do when that changes? And what do you do when it changes without you knowing? Um, because often what happens is because we think people are a particular way, we manage how we communicate with them. We manage what we tell them or what we don't tell them. We take care of how it goes for them. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wanted to get on here and talk about it because I want to talk about relationships, and because I'm sort of in the thick of having big relationships in my life go through massive evolution, partially just by the dates on the calendar. My daughter and son will both be at school in another couple of weeks. They'll both, for the first time, we'll have no kids at home, which impacts not only my relationship with my daughter and my son, but also with my husband, probably my dog and my cats too, who also live here with us and are going to need different care. But can you see that if I relate to like one of the stories that I made up, that I actually recently addressed, one of the stories I made up is that if I want to talk to my son, I have to be the one to call. I have to be the one to initiate. And come on, moms of kids, of sons in college, maybe daughters too, but what I hear about my friends with daughters is their daughters are like, hey, this is what's happening. And I'm doing this because they're often over text. And typically, unless there's some need, I don't necessarily get that from my son. And, I could easily be annoyed by that, or I could be the one to always call, or be the one who, but what I realize is that I could also, with some awareness, make a request. And so at Christmas, I said, hey, what would it be like if we put something on the schedule where it wasn't at Christmas, it was recently, where, you reach out to us, to me and your dad now and then, and like, let's call it every other Sunday, or, hey, Rosemary, long time no see. So my invitation is to look at these places where you've evolved or you've changed or your relationship is evolving, and look at what the needs are and actually ask for that need to be fulfilled. I know it sounds crazy, but so often we wait for other people to notice, or we assume they will somehow see it, and we forget that we can simply say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I need. Is it possible for you to fulfill it? And a lot of times we don't do that because we feel like we shouldn't have to. We make up stories like, oh, well, if they loved me, they would know. Or, oh, well, if they were some other way, they would figure it out. Or we make up that it's a lot to ask. I myself will sometimes say, like, gosh, I hope this isn't high maintenance, because I'm always asking for my needs to get met. And it's kind of funny because even assuming, presuming that you asking for what you want is a burden to the other person, um, it's not giving them their whole authority, their whole sovereignty. Like they get to actually say yes, no, or hey, that won't work for me, but maybe this other thing will. Especially if the need is expressed in a way that you're not making the other person wrong. Like I could have said to Elliot, you've been away at school and now for a couple of years and you're not um, responding, you never call home. We always have to call you. And I could have like an underlying blame there, or I could simply say, hey, this is how this has gone and I'd like to see it differently. So my invitation for you as you are reflecting for your end of year is to think about what are your needs in relationship that aren't getting met, and how can you get them met that works for both people? How can you get them met by being authentic and vulnerable? I promise you that just by having the conversation, the relationship will evolve. The relationship will be deeper. Hey, Amy. So my accomplishment coaching friends, I love it. Your relationships will be deeper. Your relationships will be more fulfilling. And hey, by the way, you might get some needs met. So with that, I am going to sign off and wish you a very, very Happy New Year as we begin this decade, as we begin this next iteration. I know it's just a moment in time, but as humans, we often make things significant. So I'm going to make this significant as we move into 2020. I'm going to hold the intention and hold the energy for all of you to have more of your needs met so that you can have a bigger, happier, more satisfying life and world on the planet. Oh, and I love the hearts. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Cynthia. All right. Well, I'm signing off now, but I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I wish you all the happiest New Year.